Hank ran the company unlikely any other 20th century companies. Another AIG concept eventually had gotten hooked. There was no big company infrastructure. The system were completely antiquated. It still gathered its earning that every quarter by hand, and all decisions were made by him to a remarkable degree. To put it another way, while outsiders may have thought they were seeing an earnings machine, insiders saw something that more resembled a Rube Goldberg contradiction. Why did AIG have such an antiquated infrastructure? Because Remington didn't like to pay for anything that didn't generate revenue, so he scripted on computers and software that other companies bought as a matter of course and refused to pay the salaries necessary to hire first-rate operation staff. Why did he have 30 direct reports? Because that way he could keep all his division managers segregated from each other. Hank wanted people to operate with the idea that they had their own little private P&L and they were only responsible for what happened in their cell, say a former AIG executives. Many of AIG's subsidiaries were also interlocking. So, for instance, National Union Fire Insurance Company, a big insurance subsidiary, had a significant ownership stake in LFC, a airplane leasing company, and Operation Calling AIG Freedom Life, an overseas life insurance company that was one of the company's crow jewels, had a large portion of its capital in AIG stock, and of course Zico, the company that Gremiker used to accumulate his top executives' retirement money, in which he himself ran, was AIG's largest stockholder. Although Gremiker obviously was in command of everything that went on at AIG, its formal international control and process, taking that every public company has in place, were decidedly super. Um, AIG's longtime banker was Goldman Sachs. The firm was constantly involved in AIG deals, and Gremiker had closed deals with the firm's top investment bankers. Yet one former Goldman banker recalls that whenever a new deal was in the works, the junior bankers working on it would find, as he put it, deficiencies in AIG internal control. In the due diligence calls, the company always did and runs around her questions and say they were aware of international control problems and were working on fixing them. If we weren't satisfied with the answer, we will have to go to senior relationship people at Goldman and get the go ahead for the deal. Half the time he had the seniors people didn't want to hear any shit about EIG's problems. The deals always go down. And then there was EIG's risk taking. Thought he had built a very large company. Remiker still wanted his executives to be risk taking entrepreneurs in the way they approached their business. They repeatedly made the point that AIG's balance sheet was so big and so highly rated that AIG could take risks that the other company had the strength to take, say a former executive. That was the whole point of having a AAA. After all, AIG could take more risk and be rewarded for it, being that big and that prone to risk taking. It's just not a good combination. Size affirmed AIG executives those two things together to not equal prudence. And it wasn't just one or two subsidiaries either. The early leasing subsidiary, the investment arm, the insurance companies, they were all seeking out risks they could take from leveraging the AAA rating. Among other consequences, this led a surprising number of AIG divisions to invest in subprime mortgage. FP, of course, was insuring subprime seniors serious tranche, but AIG also had a mortgage originator making subprime loans. It had a mortgage insurance unit that was guaranteeing subprime loans, and it had a securities lending program that was investing in subprime mortgage. It's worth pausing for a moment on that last one to get a sense of just how willing AIG was to push into risky areas. The purpose of any securities lending program is to loan stock from a company's investment portfolio to short sellers. A short seller has to borrow stock in order to short it. The borrower puts up cash up as collateral, which the lender is supposed to invest in short-term liquid securities that can be quickly cashed in when the borrower returns to stock. For that reason, most companies with securities lending programs invest the cash in low-yielding, short-term commercial paper, but AIG decided to invest a portion of the money in largely illiquid serious range. Its executives reasoned that since the short sellers would never have asked for their money back at the same time, would they will keep some of the cash in serious and turn the wider sprints into bigger profits. The possibility that something might happen someday that will cause all the borrowers to demand their money at the same time was once again viewed as implausible. By 2007, the company had $78 billion from the securities lending program tied up in mortgage banking securities. It was incredibly irresponsible, says someone who was there. When you got right down to it, there was something almost wizard of us like about the way AIG was run. It was simply not a company it was purported to be. Beginning its impressive fake was a thought-starved old man who refused to grant a successor, refused to turn his company the way modern companies were supposed to be run, and refused to play by anybody's rule but his own. Those attributes were about to hurt both him and his beloved AIG. AIG stock traded toward the end of the round a share. It was by then a very rich stock.